Thank you, Frederic. So thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to me to talk about water. I love this kind of subject. It's a pleasure to talk a little bit about it. And you can ask me what's the problem related to water. And my answer for you is that we have many and different problems related to water. And one of these problems is the access to water and sanitation services. And according to the UN, you have 2.2 billion people without access to water, drink water services, and 3.5 billion, I'm talking about billion with letter B, people without adequate facilities, sanitation facilities. And to solve it, the UN proposed the SDG number 6, and the idea is to overcome this problem until 2030. And the question is, are we able to do it until there? And unfortunately, the answer is no, because we have a long path. We need to accelerate the process in 6 times to achieve the goal related to water, to drinking water services, and in 5 times to achieve the goal related to sanitation services. So, and one way to solve this problem is spreading knowledge, and that's the reason that I'm here, searching here in Germany. By the way, Germany has 90% of the population with water access and sanitation access, and I'm interested to see why the country achieved this good indexes, and that's the idea of my project. And now I separated for today 10 key aspects to talk, 10 key insights during my journey here in Germany. And I separated these aspects in 3 groups. The first one is governance, you see here in the slide the letter G. The second one is the financial aspects, the letter F, and social aspects, the letter S. And then I will start with structure and responsibilities. And to talk about it, I need to come back to the 19th century and talk about roles. Among industrial revolution and the epidemics, the German government realized that they need to define some responsibilities. And then they decided to put water and sanitation services as public services, and also they defined roles of the federal government, states and municipalities. In sum, federal government has been responsible for laws, states for regulation, and municipalities for the provision of the services, the water and sanitation services. And why it's so important? We know that weak institutional framework and poorly delineated rules are a bottleneck to provide water and sanitation for all. And when I have this kind of structure and responsibility, it's easier to achieve the goal. And that's the reason that I brought this point here for this presentation. And the second point is a consequence of this one. It's about decentralization and diversification. When Germany put the provision of water and sanitation services on municipalities, I can say that they nailed it, because it's a local self-government. You can see the needs of the population, and you can provide solutions for this population. You can see this village and say, oh my God, let me think about. They need this approach or that approach, that we provide the water in this way or that way. And it's really important. And the second point is the different business models for water supply and sanitation. We can see here in this graph different colors, and each different color here is a different type of water utility. And I can say that it worked so well here in Germany, but I cannot say that I can take this kind of approach and apply, for example, in Brazil, South Africa, or another country. I need to understand the challenges and the opportunities, and to provide the correct approach for this kind of matter. So, going to the next point, and it's so interesting. The wording in German is so hard. I'm training this word but you can correct me please, but it's Daseinsvorsorge, That's it?
Daseinsvorsorge.
That's it. Thank you. So my class in Bonn worked so well. So that's interesting because German constitution don't mention the human right to water, but the legal doctrine understood water as a Daseinsvorsorge. And what's that? Daseinsvorsorge in English is general interest services. And the idea of this kind of approach is the prioritization of the services. They put in the same level the water and sanitation services as transportation, gas supply, electricity. And it's interesting to see because, for example, in Brazil, it's not the approach. And when the German did it, it's really interesting. But because they understand that it's related to public health. But I will talk about public health in another slide, another screen. So then the next one is about strategies and strategies. And it's interesting because I said that Germany has 90% of the population for water and sanitation services. And we can say that, okay, it's okay, I universalized the services, I don't need any plan for this kind of matter. But Germany goes beyond. They see that the climate change and extreme events can be a break in this process and can bring some difficulty in the process of provide water and sanitation services. So this year they launched the National Water Strategies with 10 strategies for the whole Germany, and among these 10 strategies, there are 4 related to the access to water and sanitation. And it's really interesting because we see several countries around the world with good investments, good labor, and also about knowledge, but they don't plan, and then they don't provide water for all. So the last one about governance. I'm going so quickly, I think I talk so much, but yeah, we have among 4 questions. About the international cooperation, and I think that's the key aspect related to governance. Here in Germany, I am surprised at how Germany put efforts in the international cooperation. They donate for cooperation and development in the water sector. They also is a sponsor to UN resolutions, and they host JOPA. It's a Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance. It's here in Bonn. And this kind of approach is really interesting because we know that there are countries with some limitation about knowledge, and other countries that knows so much about water and sanitation services. And this kind of alliance put these 2 stakeholders together. And this is it's an example about that. It's a cooperation between Hamburg Wasser and companies in Tanzania. The Hamburg Wasser is supporting these companies, these water utilities, in management support in the strategic planning, and also in the operational staffs and something like that. And I really believe that it's a good way to provide water for all. So, let me breathe, and then. So let's start to talk about financial aspects. I'm an engineer and I don't know so much about investments and money, but I will try to explain from my view, from my perspective. When I talk about constancy of investments, I put this graph here because we can see that between 1999 and 2018, the investment in the water supply, in the water sector for water utilities was between 2 and 2.9 billion euros. And you can see that there is some constancy in the investment. The political framework, the chance that they stop the investment in the water and sanitation services. And it's so important. I don't know if you know about, for example, Brazil, but you have some lacks in the progress related to the investment in the sector. And it's also a bottleneck in the promotion of water for all. And about tariff structure, It was a surprise for me, but after I understood what the reason of this. But here in Germany, the tariff is calculated based on the costs, and that's it. In Brazil, good companies, big companies, use the cost, but also the economic capacity of users and some variables related to efficiency levels. What it means? I can put in the tariff some variables to incentivize the water utility to achieve some goal. And also analyzing the economic capacity of users, I can see that, oh, you can pay for the services, okay, then I can put this tariff. But here it's not the approach. But I understand because Germany is so different than the other countries, the low-income countries, the medium-income countries, because they are in another level related to the progress of water and sanitation services. Now going to the social aspects, I like to talk about obligation connections, and I will divide into 2 points. The first one is about sanitation, and about sanitation, it's a mandatory connection. You need to connect to the services. It can be extreme, but you can also see as a necessary approach, because if you don't provide this kind of approach, some people cannot connect, should not connect in the network, and then they can produce, for example, some problems in the public health, and it will, what I can say, affect other people. And then we need, in this kind of approach, think together and need to connect to the services. And when I'm talking about water supply, new constructions must ensure the water supply, and that's the way that Germany found to provide water for all, obligating the new constructions to ensure the water supply. Another interesting point, so I have more 2 points and I'm finishing, about participation of associations. It's interesting because associations in Brazil in water and sanitation sector are not so strong as here in Germany. And 2 points are so important when I'm talking about associations. The first one is that this kind of association ensure population participation in the decision-making process. They ask for the population, what do you need, what are your needs, and then they provide the solution based on the needs. And it's really important, the role of associations in this as well. And another point, interesting point, is the development of technical standards. The WA and the VGW are important associations in the water sanitation sector here in Germany, and they provide these technical standards, and the water utilities follow these standards from these associations. And the last one is about social responsibility services. It's interesting to see that this kind of approach brings also prioritization for the sector, but it's interesting how the knowledge is constructed when I'm talking about social responsibility services. Normally, I think about water and sanitation until the public health. The idea is, if I don't have water, if I don't have sanitation facilities, I will get a disease or something like that. And that's the point. But we can go beyond. If you get a disease, I don't provide money for, I don't produce money because I cannot work, and then it pushes other things in all the framework related to the whole country. So you need to see this kind of approach as a social responsibility, providing the water and sanitation services, and then providing health, and also the opportunity to work and to bring some money and produce what else, where you're working. So that's it. I just want to highlight that geography, history, governance, and social reality vary, present opportunities and challenges for the universalization of services. And of course, there is no one way to provide solutions. You need to understand the needs, to see the opportunities and challenges, to find a better way to provide water for all. Thank you. And that's my contact here. You can find me on LinkedIn. I put here a sentence that's in Portuguese, sorry, but in Portuguese that's perto de muita água tudo é feliz. It's by Guimarães Rosa, a writer from my state, Minas Gerais. And my words in English is that water and happiness go hand in hand. And wait a minute. I truly believe that we shouldn't deny anyone to be happy. Then provide water. That's it. Sorry.